There were all the kids in their various homes.
Yes. Yep, we are logging in from all over New York City, and we're really excited to be here. So welcome, everyone. And thank you so much to Glenn Close for being here. As always, we're going to start with a brief meditation. One of our recent graduates, Andrea Gomez, will lead us in meditation for a few moments, and then Ivan will introduce our speaker.
One, two, three. One, two, three.
Good morning. A spring of such sorrow and discontent for Spanish Harlem has been made glorious summer by a magical array of Devon's friends. All are masters of their chosen way, and a song line running throughout each of their lives are notes of gratitude, grace, and a choice to be uncomfortable with the comfortable. Our guest this morning walks this same path with those same virtues and in her own special way. Glenn Close. You are an Emmy and Tony Award-winning actress, bringing depth and breadth to roles while revealing a level of skill that many critics and peers feel is without parallel in the world of modern drama. And while your resume is strewn with golden success, it seems you are yet growing in your craft. Each latest role, the greatest role. Glenn Close, 2 syllables like a call to awareness. You have attained mastery of perhaps the most competitive of art forms. Glenn Close, you say that name and shimmering admiration sets in the eyes of your peers and deep recognition leaps forth in the minds of millions. I was one of those millions when Devon came to me with a list of speakers, accomplished masters of their domains, recognized throughout the world, a roster including a titan of finance, a learned celebrity astronomer, 2 world champions, fashion icons, and other movie stars. My response to Devon's entire list, Glenn Close, true story. Trying to impress my youngest daughter, Laura, the coolest urban professional I know, I shared with her Devon's star-studded lineup, and all she heard was blah, 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 Glenn Close, and blah, 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 blah. She is tuned in this morning, and even as I give my introduction, all she hears is blah, 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 Glenn Close. You are legendary, and yet you move above and through your art with humility and the awe of a novice. Perhaps these virtues of gratitude and wonder are reasons you stand proudly with the greats. Once an anthropology major, you open us to our full humanity. Your work on the stage and screen invites us to join you on your exploration of the human condition. You take on roles in order to bring light to darkened corners of the human heart, not to garner prizes and praise. You are quiet, solitary, and a morally towering artist. You have also embraced our common suffering once the camera is off and the footlights have dimmed. You are a champion for those millions facing trauma and mental illness. In one night, in a time of personal and professional triumph, with a few words, you lifted the hearts of women everywhere when you generously shared your mother's quiet, late life lamentation of her opportunity denied as a woman. So you illuminate the human heart through your art, and you bring light to the darkened spirits through your advocacy. What a beautiful life. And Glenn Close, lest I forget, Rupert Friend, none less than Rupert Friend, one of the stars on our list. He also intoned your magical name, asking us to be sure to remind you that you owe him for bumping him on the schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 beautiful syllables, 1 amazing, beautiful, galvanizing actress, Glenn Close.
Hello, everyone. I'm very honored to be with you all today. I wish we were all sitting in the same room together, but we can imagine that, can't we? Our imaginations are capable of embracing all of you, all of us, and putting us all in one room. So I'm very, very honored to be here to hear what you were thinking about and what your questions are, what your perspective on this unprecedented time that we're living through, how you are feeling. I'm here in Montana. I hope you all have seen where that is. It couldn't be more different from where you are now. But I feel very connected always to my beloved New York, where I began my career, and I've lived for over 45 years. So I'm eager to hear all about you and to try to tell you a little bit about what my life has been like and what my life as an artist has been like.
Amazing. So they've done deep, deep research. So with your permission, we're going to open it up to student questions.
Yes.
Beautiful.
All right, our first question will be from Euritzy Flores and Charlie Flores.
Good morning. In drama class, we have seen some clips of your performances, and you are so confident and don't seem shy performing in groups. At school, each grade puts on a show, so my question for you is, what is some advice you have for someone who is shy and always feels less confident in crowds?
That is a wonderful question, because I must tell you, most of the actors whose work I really respect are shy people. I think people expect actors to be always on, but I think the ones who really dig deep into what it means to be a human being, which is basically our journey as actors, they aren't always on. They're reflective and they're quiet. I was morbidly shy when I was a little girl. I had a world in my imagination from as long as I can remember. I was the one of my siblings who could play by herself for hours and be perfectly happy. And I still have in me that center of shyness, which makes it incredibly hard for me to go into a room full of people that I don't know. And I probably would be a little bit uneasy even sitting in front of you all. I have accepted that. I read a wonderful book called Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. And it really made me realize that I have been basically an introvert, and that's not a bad thing. It just means that there are some situations that you're not comfortable in. That's just the way it is. I have learned to almost pretend that I'm not an introvert when I have to do publicity or when I have to be in rooms, full of people. I have learned it's very helpful to ask people questions if you're meeting somebody, to ask them questions, and then that kind of opens a whole door. But if you get really, I would get really kind of silent if I was waiting for people, to bring up the subject. So I found that very helpful. So I also have accepted, and I realize that I'm older and I've had a lot of life behind me, but I have accepted that there are certain situations that don't make me comfortable. It's okay not to say, you know what, I don't think I'd enjoy that. I read a lot when I was little, so I think that really fed my imagination. So if your shyness means that you have a very, very active, imaginative world, that's wonderful. That is a wonderful thing to have. That is a rich thing to have. Feed that. feed your imagination, and you know, really glory in it. And I also think it helps me when I'll put my, when I first, if we sit around a table for the first time reading a script, I used to feel that I had to give some sort of a performance. You don't. You're just reading it for the first time. You don't, in fact, if anything, now I go overboard to not kind of make decisions about what that character is, or how angry that character is at the moment, or how funny, or to just take time with your imagination and with reading the script, what's on the page, to get to know who that human being is. And it's hard to know another human being in life. That takes time, takes trust. What actors are asked to do is to trust immediately, because there's a certain, you know, you can only have a certain amount of time to create whatever it is that you're all there to create. But that you always have enough time to let that character reveal herself to you. You don't have to force it. And I think that also helps in my shyness.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Our next question is going to be from Leslie.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
In interviews that I have seen, they have said that you first started your acting career on Broadway. My question for you is, what are differences between stage and screen acting?
Well, I started on stage, and the one big difference is that you have more time to rehearse for stage. Usually you do not have time to rehearse, or if you do have time, it's only a matter of days for a movie. So that was a huge difference for me, going into film. And one of the ways that I use time to develop a character is actually in the fitting room, because you spend a lot of time in the fitting room with the costume designer as they first show you material, you know, fabrics, then they mock up what a costume will be, and then you come back for various fittings. And I use that time to help me define the character. And a great costume designer is a full collaborator in that process. I'm a terrible shopper. I hate to shop. I would be very happy wearing blue jeans. Well, you know, I can wear blue jeans out here in Bozeman. So I really have great respect for what a costume designer brings to a character. So that's how I had to kind of shift in film, using that time. I think when I first started on stage, you learn how to project to the back seat. And sometimes you have to project in silence. I have this theory that stage acting is molecular. It has something to do with physics, because in order to create a deep emotion on stage, you use your muscles and your sinews, and you actually, I'm sure, set up an energy field. And you ping that energy, however it is, however it manifests itself, out into the audience, and they ping something back to you. And then in this is what live theater is. You have this exchange of energy that ends up being a unique experience for both of you, for both the actors on stage and the audience that has experienced this. In film, you don't have that. So my biggest challenge was what to do with that energy, because I thought I'd blow out the camera. So I think what film has taught me, and then it also can be applied back to theater, is the power of thought, the power of what is in your mind as that character. Film picks that up. Film with the close-up is the only art form that shows a changing human emotion in real time. No other art form has that. So the value of a close-up is that it keeps the audience emotionally connected to that character, because somehow they can sense what the emotion of that character is. They're looking into that character's eyes. And that is something that I've learned over the years. And it's very important to me now when I do a movie that those moments are there, that my character, that a director knows where to put close-ups in order to maintain an emotional connection with the audience. And that in that close-up, they know how to film you so that you can see your eyes.
Wow. I mean, this is like a master class in acting. This is amazing. Let's go to the next question.
Our next question is from Tracy, who actually has a question about costumes.
Hi, good morning. You have worn a lot of extraordinary costumes in a lot of the roles you played. So my question for you is, what is one of your favorite outfits you've worn and why?
Oh boy. I actually collected all my costumes. I have to tell you all that behind me is a painting that was, if you ever see 102 Dalmatians again, that's in the scene in Cruella's dining room with all the dogs and their owners. And that's a takeoff of a very, very famous painting of Elizabeth I. And she's wearing her pearls, but it's Cruella it's one of, supposedly Cruella was related to Elizabeth I because she has half black, half white hair. So, and it's a treasure of mine. It's a beautiful example of scenic art. And I love it. My favorite costume. All my costumes now are at the Indiana University, and they're actually going to have a big exhibition of my costumes next year. I'm excited about that. I can't let my costumes go because, again, they represent these characters to me. They represent time that I've spent in the fitting room. They represent the actual wearing of the costume, whether it's on stage or in film. And if, usually they are sold to a costume house and rented out and torn apart and added to and subtracted from. And I couldn't stand that. So I have my costume. I guess one of my favorite, actually in that scene in 101 Dalmatians, I have on this extraordinary red dress. I call it my Firebird dress. That's made out of it has a lot of feathers on it and jewels, and it's just an amazing concoction. All those Cruella costumes are masterpieces. Each one of them is a masterpiece. So Cruella costumes were, although they were very, very uncomfortable because I had a very tight corset, and I usually had high heels, which can get very, very, oh my God, they can kill your feet by the end of the day. So it can be physically challenging to wear costumes like that. I also love the costume I just wore in Hillbilly Elegy. It's a movie that hasn't come out yet. The main reason I loved it because it was so comfortable. I could get into blue jeans every day, but it also helped me get fully into character. I've been lucky enough to play certain characters, Cruella, Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard, Albert Nobbs in Albert Nobbs, and Mamaw in Hillbilly Elegy, where with slight changes in my face, a fantastic wig, and she wore big t-shirts, men's jeans, and beat up old Reeboks. But when I got into that costume, I was removed from myself. So it really helps you to bury yourself in a character. And a lot of the costumes in my collection have done that for me.
Well, speaking of Cruella, Lewis has our next question.
Hi, Lewis.
Hi, my name is Lewis. I'm in the 8th grade, and I was impressed by your impression of Cruella's evil laugh. So my question for you is, how did you master her character and her laugh?
Well, I really love the original movie, which is the animated version of 101 Dalmatians. I'm sad to say I can't remember the woman who voiced Cruella in that movie, but she was, genius, and she had that laugh. And so I decided to have my version of the laugh. And it really helped express her just evilness. And you want me to do it for you?
Please.
Yes, please.
I've got to work up to it. Wait. Okay.
Wow.
I did that. I was down in New Orleans at Mardi Gras, and just observing a parade, and a woman came with her little, I think she was about 4-year-old daughter, and I looked like me. I didn't even have white hair then. I didn't look like Cruella. And I thought to amuse the little girl, I would do the Cruella laugh. And I did the Cruella laugh, and the little girl burst out in tears. So I don't do it anymore unless I'm asked. Does that answer your question, or is there other aspects to that question?
No, you answered my question perfectly.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go to Zaida next.
Hi.
I saw a clip of your performance, Sunset Boulevard. I was very inspired by the emotion and connected to the song because of the amount of emotion you put into it. So my question for you is, what do you have to do in order to cry or be emotional on cue?
That to me is all about imagination. I think a lot when I'm putting a character together. I think of of where she is in the moment emotionally, and I try to create a unbroken continuum from the moment the curtain rises to the moment it falls. That is the emotional arc of that character, and that's what you work out in your mind, in your imagination, and in rehearsal. And I've always found that if I am putting myself in somebody's shoes, the way I need to do justice to that character, the emotions happen. You start thinking the thoughts of that character. You don't have to kind of say, oh, I remember when my fish died, so I'm gonna, that can make me cry. To me, that separates you from the real emotion, because I feel, we're capable of anything, and I think who we are is the result of many people, stimulus, frightening things. We're the sum of our experience, So we can imagine ourselves into any situation. The thing that I have found, though, is that I cannot do justice to a character unless I find where I can love them and I can understand them as a human being. Now, Cruella was different because she was the devil, but everyone else, I mean, even the character in Fatal Attraction, I love that character and I know why she behaved the way she does, but you can't judge a character and do justice to it. And that to me is one of the great gifts of being an actor, because every character represents a new exploration of what it means to be a human being. And you have to understand why they do what they do. And you have to imagine yourself in their shoes, looking out of their eyes. And that's thrilling and fun.
Our next question is from Jeremiah.
Hi, good morning. My question for you is, has there been a role that significantly influenced your life? And if so, how?
I think they've all added to who I am. In the beginning, I would go, well, from Albert Nobbs on, I went to a coach for certain characters. And I went to a coach because I was intimidated, Glenn Close, in front of the character. If I was in a room with a Marquise de Merteuil or with Patty Hughes, who I did in Damages, I wouldn't know, being me, they would be intimidating. So I used, at that point in my career, a coach to sit in front of and force myself to say the lines, even though they didn't fit in my mouth, until I felt comfortable. It was a way to kind of break the barrier between my shyness towards this character and my being able to step over that. And it takes a certain kind of courage. I love actors because you have to be courageous. You have to do that exploration, and sometimes you have to just feel like you have to be willing to make a fool of yourself, to be embarrassed, you got to go out there. And if even while there's been some moments while I'm filming something where you just want to crawl into a hole and die because you think, I don't have it. But you can't stop. You can't run away and say, I can't do it, because there's a whole crew there looking at you, the director, you have to keep up your courage. You have to just jump in and keep working at it until something in your whole being says, that's it. There we are. We got it.
Thank you for that. Our next question is from Sitlali.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I read in your biography that you have siblings. I also have a sibling, and I know that sometimes it could be fun or annoying. So my question for you is, what is your favorite memory with your sibling and why?
I have an older sister, Tina. She's 21 months older than me, and she ruled my life until I got wise. So when we were growing up, we would be playing games. You guys didn't grow up with cowboys and Indians. Well, we called them Indians then. But cowboys, they were all on TV. There was Hopalong Cassidy, who was my hero. There was Roy Rock, all these cowboy shows. And so that's what we would play. We'd play cowboys. And we had a little tiny Shetland pony that my mom had rescued from a fairground. Tina, of course, always got to ride the pony, and I would gallop beside her as her sidekick, Lucky. And one day she shot me and I fell down and she ran over me on the pony. So yeah, I was her slave. And then there came a point where we were, early in our early teens where I kind of broke away from her. And my brother, Sandy Alexander, he was very strong very early, and he used to chase us. I mean, he would chase us and we'd lock ourselves in the bathroom because we were sure that if he caught us, he'd beat us up. I mean, yeah, so I have a lot of sibling memories. And the thing that means a lot to me now is that I'm in the same town as all my 3 siblings at this probably final chapter of our lives. We are together now like we've never been in, since our very early childhood. So it means the world to me to be here.
That's so nice. Thank you, Glenn. Our next question is from Geraldine.
Hi. Okay. You have auditioned for many parts in movies and plays. So my question for you is, how do you calm down before an audition? And do you ever meditate?
Oh, when I was auditioning, nobody ever talked about meditation, but I guess I did my own version of it. I went through a whole, my early career, I wasn't very good at auditioning. I would put myself right on an edge, kind of emotional, intellectual, and usually had a piece of paper with the lines on it. And I try to keep myself on that edge. And you're sitting there in the hallway waiting, you're called in. Now, if I could keep myself on that edge, I usually got the part. But sometimes you feel it kind of escaping from your fingertips, and I had no way to get it back. So that wasn't a good way to audition. What really changed me was early on when I went to this coach, because I really wanted a part. It's the part that I play in a movie called Albert Nobbs, but I did it on stage very early in my career. And it's a woman who disguises herself as a butler in Victorian Dublin, which was an extremely poor city at the time, in order to survive. This woman survives disguised as a butler. So you're going in with this really complex character, asked to read a 3-page scene at a woman being a man. It was like impossible. And at that point, I wasn't going to coach, but I did say to them, you know what, I am boring myself, so I must be boring you, so I think I'm just gonna go home. And later my agent got a call and said that they said that was the most interesting thing that had happened all day, and then they wanted me to come back and have another whack at it. So that's when I went to a friend and said, who is that coach you go to? And he told me, and I went to, his name was Harold Guskin, and I went to Harold, and he told me 2 things that changed my whole attitude towards auditions. First of all, he said, take your time, breathe, take the word off the page. Hello, you say, hello, how are you? I was really looking forward to seeing you today. You can take your time. And also, he gave me the concept that you're just going in not to give a definitive performance, but to throw out a couple of ideas, because you haven't rehearsed, you don't, you're going to find a million things more than you will have found when you walk into audition. But the more you can just say, you know what, these are a couple of ideas in your mind, these I'll just throw it out, and just that can help you relax. And I think that's, and then that really changed my whole nervousness and fear going into an audition.
Our next,
I actually then went back and got the part. And then 30 years later made it into a movie.
our next question is from Lenine.
Hi. My question is, our drama teacher showed us a clip of you when you played a male character in the movie Hook. And my question is, you were like a minor character, and I was wondering if any other people knew that it was you.
Steven Spielberg knew it was me. And God, there's another guy. Oh, Devin, you know, Crosby, still David Crosby was also disguised. I think they knew he was around. But people didn't know who I was. They thought I was a guy. It was really fun.
All right, we're gonna go to Alan next.
Hi. You are a famous actor. If you had the choice to work with anyone, who would it be and why?
Wow, you know, I don't know if I can answer that question because I've never had the career. I'm not in that club, I think, of Hollywood that they always have like 5 movies lined up and they get millions of dollars for each movie and they could plan their life for the next, 5 years. I've never been in that place in my career. Rarely have I known when I'm not working what I'll do next. And also I have over my career produced things in order to have parts that I wanted to play. What was the question? What was your question?
If you had the choice to work with anyone, who would it be and why?
I don't think like that. I loved working with Robert Redford in The Natural. I loved that. But as far as, there's so many wonderful actors. It's just, for me, it's not just the actor, it's the story and what you're going to be doing with them. For me, what I choose to do has to always start with what's written on the page and whether it represents something different from what I've done before, because I think everything's an exploration. You don't want to go over territory that you've already explored. So first of all, it's what you read on the page. Then it's who you're going to be working with. You want to be working with people that make it worthwhile to leave home for, basically, because our time is our most precious commodity. And I'm so reminded of that every single day now that I have less years in front of me than I have behind me. And so who you spend your time with and what kind of creative work you can do together, that's everything. That's everything. That's the process. That's the process of creation, which feeds our soul. And it's not worth doing something if it's not going to give you that. That said, when you're beginning, you've got to get whatever work you can get, but hopefully it will lead you into a place where you could be more, be more tough on what you decide to do. I don't know if that answered your question. Not really. I don't have a list of people. There's so many wonderful ones.
Len, we want to be mindful of your time this morning. Do you have time for 2 or 3 more questions?
I sure do. Ain't nothing going on here.
All right, great. We have tons more.
Pip, come here.
We actually have a question, I think, about your dog.
Yeah, he was looking out the window. Luckily, no dogs have come by. This is Pip.
Huh, Pip?
Devin gave us the full name, Lord Pippin of Beanfield.
Hey, there he is. I'll put him on this chair. He's my constant companion. He makes me laugh and he comforts me all the time.
One of our 8th graders, Brianna, actually had a question about Pip. Her camera isn't working right now, so I can't put her on, unfortunately, but if it's okay with you, I'll just read her question to you.
Okay.
She said that she saw in one of your interviews that you bring your dog everywhere. So her question is, why do you love your dog so much, and what does he mean to you?
She must not have a dog. I grew up with animals, surrounded by animals. It was a very lucky aspect of my early childhood. And I've had I actually had a dog all through college. I went to William and Mary, and I lived off campus because I was older. I was 22 when I was a freshman. And I find dogs to be, for somebody who's introverted, to be incredible companions. And I never feel lonely. He comforts me when I'm sad, and he makes me laugh. And also he because he's a remarkable little dog. He's the smartest little dog I've ever had. But he also opens up conversations with people because he's so cute and he's so well behaved. Now there are places I go to around here, and they expect Pippi, and they have a treat for him behind the desk, and he does. He is a great way to meet people. Actually, he's a conversation opener. I'm a great proponent of the value of animals in our world today.
We are too. All right, our next question is from Sophia.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sophia. I learned that your daughter once played a younger version of you in The White. And my question for you is, what is it like to watch your daughter in movies? Sorry.
I was really proud of her, and I loved watching her because she took it like a duck to water. I've watched her obviously since she was a little girl, and even observing how she played with her friends when they were playing different characters, I thought, wow, she's really playing the character. So I've always felt that she had talent. And when I saw her at getting hair and makeup done, and she was just, into the whole thing, I was really proud. And because she was playing a younger version of me, I obviously didn't have scenes with her. But I decided that when she was working, and we had sat together with the director, the writer, and various various actors for various scenes. So we had been working on the piece for over a week before we started shooting. I thought that when she was working, that I should just literally get out of town. I didn't want her to feel that she had a mommy hovering over her and maybe whispering in the director's ear. So we shot The Wife in Scotland, in Glasgow, and when Annie was working, I went up into the Highlands, and I came back when she was finished, and I was so proud of what I saw that she had done.
Our next question is from Corey.
Hi, good morning. I really enjoyed reading in drama class about all of your amazing accomplishments. And my question for you is, what in life are you most grateful for, and why?
I didn't understand that.
Hey, we have the question, don't we?
Yep, I can read it to you.
Okay,
Corey is wondering, given all of your amazing accomplishments, what are you most grateful for in life and why?
That's a hard one. I hesitate because I still feel so unfinished. I feel that there's so much still to do, to read, to discover. I think I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have found something to do in life that has helped me feel fulfilled, I think. That I feel I have been able to comment on what, you know, kind of on what this whole mystery of being on this planet through my work. And that's a great gift to be able to do that, to have something like that as an outlet. If I didn't have that, I'm not sure what my life would have been. I had a very crazy childhood. My parents, bless them, and I've forgiven them long ago, but they got into a cult type group. And so I've always felt that my childhood ended when I was 7 years old. But for some reason, and maybe it was because of my imagination or introversion, my reading, my, you know, whatever, I always felt that my journey would be to be an actor. And it wasn't about being a star. It wasn't about walking on the red carpet. It wasn't about, you know, fancy this and fancy that. It was about pretending, which we did when we were kids. And then for me, it evolved into creating these characters. I still feel unfinished. I feel that I'm not a great, I don't really know yet how to maybe use my time to the best of you know, how to, when I'm working, I'm great. When I'm not working, it's a little bit more problematic. And I think through my career, I have made friends that have lasted me my whole life. And that's something I'm grateful to. And of course, for my daughter. But I think as an individual, I think I'm grateful to have something that has fulfilled me, because I think when you're fulfilled, even though it's not all the time, but you've got that possibility, you're better. You're a better person. You can relate to people better. I mean, I really don't know what I'm talking about, but that's a lot. That's a very deep question.
Deep answer.
Very, yeah, thank you. We're gonna go to Melissa for our last question of the morning.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for being our whole school time speaker and speaking to us today. My question is, what is one of your favorite memories you have made when making a movie?
Oh boy, so many. Okay, so in this situation where you're asked questions, certain things leap into mind. My second movie was a movie called The Big Chill. And it was about a group of friends who had gone to the University of Michigan together. And they all get back together at the beginning of the movie for the funeral of one of them who has died by suicide. That was my second movie. And it was Kevin Kline and Mary Kay Place. And it was an extraordinary, Kevin Costner. We all were pretty young. Many of us had already done theater. Bill Hurt was in it. You don't know. You probably don't know who these actors are. But that was an extraordinary experience because we all lived together. Larry Kazan, who was our director, wanted us to, we had a whole month of rehearsal, which has never been repeated in my career. All of us, we would go to the Columbia studio and we would spend the day together, rehearsing, changing roles, doing improv stuff. And so by the time we got on the plane to start the movie, we basically had hung out like real friends, and we stayed friends. That's a core group of friends that I have going through my whole life. And so I think the fun that we had, the dancing, the singing, the silliness, that was, I was very, very lucky to have that for the second movie that I did.
Thank you so much, Glenn. The Big Shell happens to be one of my favorites. I'm really glad you mentioned that. We've had such a wonderful time with you this morning. I'm going to send it back to Andrea for another quick moment of silence just to take in all that you shared with us. And then Ivan will give some final reflections to end the morning, if that's okay.
1, 2, 3. One, two, three.
Thank you, Andrea. Glenn Close was just amazing, and you touched our hearts and our minds, and we felt that physics and neuroscience that you talk of through our screens. I mean, your depth of thought and warmth of spirit and wisdom really have elevated our school on this Friday afternoon at the edge of pandemic weeks and months. I was particularly touched when you talked about saying that you're unfinished, and I mean, I think that's part of your mastery too. And then hearing that you're in Montana, I think of Navajo weavers, how they intentionally weave rugs with one small imperfection along the border that they call the spirit line or the spirit pathway. They say that when the weaver weaves, they entwine a part of their spirit into the cloth. In the spirit line, that little imperfection allows this trapped part of the weaver's spirit to safely exit the rug. Your career is this beautiful, elegant, unfinished tapestry, and we don't want that spirit line to ever be fully enclosed, and we want to see you keep developing and taking us along on this beautiful, beautiful path that you're following. I'm eternally indebted to Devin. I don't know if you know, Glenn Close, that Devin has been a wise guide and guardian angel of the school during these pandemic months, and she's done so much. And bringing you here is one of her greatest works. I've been getting texts from a lot of my colleagues who together we run the school, and they're just on fire and uplifted by what you said and who you are, and the energy through this strange physics or neuroscience or alchemy that you brought to us this afternoon. So, I'm so grateful for your body of work, and so grateful for your continuing gift to humanity through your high art. So thank you, Devin, and thank you, Glenn Close. I'd love if you could finish with a few words, and we'll wish you well from Spanish Harlem to Montana.
Well, I want to thank Devin as well. She's one of my favorite human beings on the planet. And the thing that Devin always gives to me is a great gift of laughter, because I think I can tend to be too serious and forget how important it is to laugh, especially now when you think, I keep thinking there's so little to laugh about, and yet there always is something to laugh about, especially with, you know, human to human contact, and laughter is so important. And I also just want to end with a promise from you all that when this ends, I will be able to come there in person and meet you all, and maybe give a little master class or whatever you want me to do. I'm there for you, and I can't wait for the day that I can come back to my very beloved city. And I'm thinking about you, and I'm sending you thoughts of strength and love and laughter.
May you look after yourself with ease. What a blessing. Take good care. Glenn Close.
You too. Love you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Love you too. What'd you think, Laura Delaney? What'd you think, Laura Delaney? You're frozen. Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah.
Well, you know, tribute to her. She's really a special person, and Devin told